Thank you for listening to Quantum Healing Today. I am Melanie, and today's guest is Lauren Ainsborough, and she is the owner and creator of Mind Matter Magic, and she is located in the UK, and she's amazing with her coaching. She can share with you about her book that's coming up, and a little bit about how you can connect with her and learn more about self-healing and self-awareness. And so thank you, Lauren, for being here with us. It's such a pleasure. Such a pleasure to meet you and talk more about how we can help ourselves and how the listeners are able to help themselves as well. So let's just get started with you and your path and your story. How did you get started?
So it's a pretty long story. I met my ex-partner when I was 21, and I'm 40 this year, so it's all a very long time ago. And I got into a relationship that wasn't right for me, even at the time. But as time went on, I started to lose myself more and more and more in that relationship. I mean, I think that I probably wasn't my authentic self, absolutely my authentic self when I got into that relationship. But so that went on for 10 years, and it became like toxic. It was a very unhealthy relationship. There was a lot of fear, and there was a lot of trauma for me. I experienced a lot of trauma within that relationship. And then when my daughter was born, I realized that I'd lost myself so much, and I was so afraid within that marriage. I mean, we were married, that I had no choice but to leave the relationship, because I couldn't have been the kind of mother that I wanted to be. And also, yeah, basically just completely lost myself, and I was really living in a constant state of fight or flight, anxiety, kind of. And then I wasn't aware of this at the time when I was in the relationship, but I moved back in with my parents, because if I hadn't moved back in with my parents at that point, when I left that relationship, I would have had nowhere to live. I would have been homeless. And I didn't really realize until after I'd left that, I started having flashbacks and really horrible nightmares. And yeah, everything, just my whole life basically fell apart at the point around having my daughter. So, but which was, looking back, it was very traumatic. It was very difficult, but at the same time, I'm so grateful that it happened, because I don't think if I'd had my daughter, I would have come to all those realizations about the fact that I was allowing myself to be treated so badly. Yeah, does that make sense? I can't remember the question.
It does. And then when did you realize along the way? I mean, I know that at some point you decided to leave the relationship, but at what point did you realize that your self-worth was more than that was worth in that relationship that you were in, and that gave you that strength to go forward?
I suppose there wasn't really like one point. It's just the way that like I used to get name called a lot within that relationship, which is a very common thing in whenever there's a power imbalance within a relationship. So I was kind of aware that that was wrong for a long, although that didn't happen right at the start, because things are always better at the start in that kind of style of relationship. I think they always progressively get worse. So obviously the name calling got worse over time, but I think, yeah, the probably the big realization was just the way that I felt so unsupported as a mother, because I think that I was so yeah, I had such in the end I had such a negative view of myself that I didn't really see things clearly. It was also kind of foggy as to what I deserved and what I didn't deserve, and I think that my beliefs about myself were so negative to an extent at that point, that what made me realize really was how much I loved my daughter and how she didn't deserve to be watching me tolerating that. So that was what motivated me to make the big change in the short term. But then in the longer term, I did realize, like, she was like the catalyst, but in the longer term, I did realize that it was me. You know, it wasn't about her. It was actually about me. Yeah, and my own self-worth. Yeah.
Good. And then now tell us about your path from when you left the relationship and what led you to creating your social media for other people's, you know, so they can have support and guidance, and then also what led you to your book as well.
So yeah, it was a long journey, like, of healing. It was about 5 years from when I left that relationship until I met my partner that I'm with now in 2020, who is, I guess he was like he made me, well, obviously I did a lot of inner work, which is stuff that I put in this second part of my book, and which also goes into my course, my 9-week program, Freedom to Love, all of that inner work that I did, which was in that 5-year period, to reconnect to myself. So I was, when I met my partner, I was in a completely different, I looked at things completely different, you know, not from a place of lack, from a place of already wholeness within myself. And then when I got into this healthy relationship, which was really different from any relationship that I'd ever experienced before, definitely romantically. And yeah, it's just, you know, there's so much quality, and we support each other so much. And I think that, you know, I knew it in my mind, I always had faith, and I knew in my mind the whole 5 years when I was on my own living with my parents, I knew that there had to be someone out there like me who wanted to do the work and who wanted to connect and who believed in a loving, healthy relationship, who wanted that. But then when I met him, I realized that it was possible. And then a few years into that relationship, I realized that I'd created it. I'd created a loving relationship. And also I was modeling that to my daughter, which I'm very proud of. And then I thought about it for a while, and I realized, actually, I know the steps. I know how to guide other people. And I know what I did to get things so wrong, but I also know how to connect back to stop losing yourself and other people, connect back to yourself, and then attract. It's amazing how differently I attracted someone so much more, not just compatible, but authentic to me, and that complements and supports my true self, whilst I can also do the same for me. And yeah, having that realization that I have the formula within me because I've lived it, it's lived experience. I just thought that, well, I have to share this with other people, it seems selfish and rude not to be honest. So yeah, I wrote the whole journey in the book, and I've also made that into a coaching program to guide people through so that they can come back to themselves and find that harmony. Well, not just in romantic relationships, but in all kinds of relationships, because being more authentic to myself and taking better care of myself and being more calm and freer in my being, kind of, it makes me a better mother. It connects more to my daughter, and it also gives me more out of the relationship with her and even my parents and friendships, acquaintances, pretty much everyone that I meet. I can't believe how much everything's just shifted for me. So I wanted to share that with other people, because I know that that's possible, because it was really only about connecting back to myself and who I truly was, and also kind of like self-soothing and regulation and all of those things which anybody can learn that. It's not like it's special. It's special in the sense that the journey was different and the trauma was quite acute and led me to these realizations. But anybody, and I believe that I can take anybody through that journey if they're willing to do the work and commit, and they really want it and they really believe that they deserve it as well.
Right. No, that's very important. And I think that's important for everybody to listen to, and everybody, and that it really includes everybody. You know, we all have relationships inside and outside of the home. And I think a lot of it does start at childhood. So, you know, if we're not willing to look at that, then how can we heal from it? So for those who are struggling to face those situations, what is best for them to do, or to know in this time?
You mean struggling with like toxic relationships, kind
Yes.
of?
Yeah, boundaries, or toxic
Yeah.
relationships. And,
So I'd say like the first thing to know is, well, that you deserve love, and that you are worthy of love and respect, and not just, you know, like the bare minimum of you really are worthy of like a dreamy kind of relationship. Not to make it sound, obviously there's always going to be imperfections within relationships, but there's like a minimum of what you can accept. It's never worth losing yourself in someone else in order to preserve a relationship, because and also, yeah, like to about the boundaries thing, you know, the way that a lot of people talk about boundaries, for me, is quite like frightening. Like, you know, you've got to have this boundary and then you can flex it for other people, and I always really struggled with that. You know, I wrote about it in my book, but for the listener, I always really struggle when people say, "Oh, just set the boundary and decide what your boundaries are." But that's so hard, because when you're in a state of trauma, you're not in a position to be able to set boundaries. I don't believe you're so confused. You know, your nervous system, like you're living in anxiety, often like PTSD, and everything's coming up for you. So I really believe that the boundary thing is more about setting the boundaries to connect to yourself for a certain amount of time each day, to have that inner connection. That's really what helped me to just to, well, really to heal my nervous system, actually to heal more deeply and to feel safe, you know, because that's the first thing, to feel safe and like you actually can. I mean, obviously, if someone's being harmful to you and it's obviously causing you so much harm. And I'd say just completely, as much as you can when possible, step back from that relationship. Obviously some relationships, like if you have children with them, or if they're family members and you don't want to not see other family members within friendship groups, then you can't always completely cut people off. But if that's not possible, I'd say try and just what's the word, detach as much as possible, come back to yourself, and then when you're in that place of connection with self, and when you've done some of the deeper healing and you're feeling safer and you're less in fight or flight, then you're able to make a better assessment about that relationship. Was it just like a trauma thing that was being reactivated? Or and sometimes in the time that I've done a lot of my healing work, a lot of those relationships have kind of moved on anyway, so time kind of reveals whether they are right for you or not, whether they're meant to be on your path. And other people will come along who are on your path, who could, because you just naturally met them through the healing work that you've done. Like I used to go out and dancing, I used to play music, and the people that I met through that didn't really want to talk about dramatic things. So I just naturally made new friendships, and the other ones kind of just faded away because they didn't want to do the same things as me. So the deeper you go with yourself, I think just naturally things change with others anyway. Obviously, it's not like you shouldn't set boundaries, and you shouldn't have ideas of what you do and don't want. That's not wrong. I just think it's very difficult if you are in a place of high anxiety to really think about that. It's just like another anxiety at that point. Yeah.
Yeah, and it also really depends on the relationship, and how far in, and there's a lot of it depends on, and so, and for you, you have courses now that you offer. Tell us more about the courses that you offer and those services that you offer as well.
So yeah, I have like a 9-week program called Freedom to Love, and this is basically to help anyone who's struggling with relationships. And well, my course and my book it kind of combines life coaching with relationship coaching, because for me the most important thing in life, like the most important and the most difficult thing in life is relationships, because and it also, if you can connect better with other people, then it completely transforms your life in so many ways. And if you can attract the right authentic people also. So yeah, my course is for people who are struggling in relationships, but also who want to build a better life and a life of purpose within that. So the course is really about connecting back to your authentic self and really exploring what's been conditioned within you, because we all adopt these kind of versions of self to the survival self. And in my course, we kind of explore what are all these things that you may have, these behaviors and ideas and beliefs that you may have adopted. So it's not adopted, it's more like an adaptation. It's like an adaptation to survive. And strip them back. And then when you do that, like one of my favorite things about this is like shadow it, when you look at the aspects of yourself that you may have rejected within yourself, so that when we can actually examine those parts of ourselves and bring them into the light, you can actually find that the reason that you might have been feeling bad or anxious or attracting the wrong people is perhaps because you've been pushing those parts of yourself down, thinking that that's how you needed to be in order to obtain or preserve relationships, because obviously we're human beings, we always want to belong.
Right.
So in the course of, sorry?
Seek approval, yeah.
Yeah, approval, yeah.
Mhm.
So that we know that we'll fit in and be accepted. So in the course of, there's lots of different things that we go through to really discover the true self, because this is like the foundation. If you can't go through, if you are unable to really become aware of what that true self is, or the true self that wants to come into form, you're kind of like you're in a child, like what you were before you had to conform and fit in. So it goes back to that. And then also one of the other things that I teach is unconditional love alchemy, and that connection to unconditional love, because for me, one of the big things that really confused me when my marriage fell apart and I was living in that state of fear was, I always had this idea that you just had to, that love meant to tolerate, but as I went deeper and deeper, I discovered that it wasn't actually about tolerating at all. It was about the feeling within you and the acceptance of, yes, okay, people might choose to behave destructively towards themselves or others, but like number one is what can you do in that situation to love yourself despite whatever they're choosing to do, because they have free will, and that's natural and that's normal and that's fine. But also, how can you maintain that connection to the source of love, unconditional love within you, whilst that, so it's working through ways, because this is different for all people. I have methods that I really like to use, like breath work and yoga nidra, and the deep ancient form of meditation that really helped me, and lots more methods that I really like to use to connect me back to unconditional love. But it's really different for everybody. And in the course, we go into like, what's the ways that you can use, and there's things that you would want to do when you are doing deeper healing and spending time on your own, but there's also ways that you can maintain the connection to the love within yourself when you're in public, preparing yourself before you go into public, and like energy hygiene afterwards, making sure you don't take on too much of what other people are putting out, because obviously, if you're an empath or someone that's naturally, or a sensitive person, and naturally like that, you don't want to change it, but you want to learn to harness it in an effective way so that you can take care of yourself and you can thrive, and then you can help other people. So like not pouring from a full cup, you're trying to pour from, rather than pouring from an empty cup, you know what I mean? And then like the final, so it's like 3 pillars in my course. First is connecting to self, and it's about maintaining the connection to your soul and unconditional love. And then the last part is about really your growth, and because really, when you start to connect more to your deeper, authentic self, things just keep getting better and better and better. And in a way, it sounds weird, but it can actually trigger more trauma. The more that you grow, the more scary it can seem, but because the more you're coming back to self, the more you then will discover another layer. And if you've been conditioned to, well, all of us conditioned to an extent to hide our true selves to be loved, but the more that you let that out, the more that you move through that discomfort of growth, the more scary it can get. So it's like, it's just kind of embracing that it's a cycle, it's like an evolution, and it's never ending. You always come, you could live forever and still be becoming more authentic, which is beautiful at the same time, but it's also like embracing the fact that you're never going to be done with it. So and more things will always come up when you're on the journey. You know, you'll think, oh, okay, I thought I'd done that, but I thought I'd healed that, or you know, I thought I was comfortable with that, but there's always going to be more coming up. So just to embrace that it's an ongoing thing. Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's the last thoughts.
I think that's amazing. Thank you for saying that, because it is an endless cycle. And I know for me personally, I've been working on self-healing for at least 10 years. And you're right, stuff resurfaces and you think, oh, I thought I got rid of that. But then here you are in another cycle. And so it is a process. It's a loving process, you know, and you also do the ice baths and the breath work. And so since the energy, you know, the trauma can get stuck in the body, how does the ice baths, how does that help with this process?
So yeah, I just love cold water. I think it helps so many things. So I didn't mention actually. I think you know because you read the book, but just for the listener. So I was a pharmacist for 20 years, and I left that job last year because it wasn't aligned with my true self. And so that in 2020, I was locked down just with my daughter, and it was a very difficult time. And during that time, I tried antidepressants, and they made me so much worse. I know that's not the same for everybody. And I think I stopped the antidepressants and I got better. I improved after I stopped the antidepressants. But I live in Willie Bay in the northeast of England, which is right beside the North Sea. So the sea's very cold. Even in the summertime, it doesn't really. I don't think it goes above like 11 degrees centigrade. So, and I remember I was just walking along the beach because that's what I used to do every day in lockdown. And I just got this feeling like I just felt my body like saying, get in the sea. And I think I don't even know if I had my swimming costume on or whatever, but it was like a summer's day. So I just kind of went in my underwear, and literally the minute that I got in, I mean, like within seconds, I don't think I even went in for a minute. Literally, it was just like something had been put on my brain, and just everything, all the horrible feeling just went in an instant. And then I got into like the Wim Hof method as a result of that. And since then, I found that inflammation and depression is really closely connected. And and also because the cold water exercise is really good at exercising the cardiovascular system. So it like works on the entire, all of the blood vessels. I can't even. And when I was working when I was being a pharmacist, which I stopped last year, I remember just thinking when everyone was coming in with all these ailments, all this inflammation and depression, and the prescriptions were just going up and up and up and up. I was just thinking, cold water is like, it could help like 99% of the things that people are coming in with. And obviously for the trauma factor, which I mean, I believe that disease, all of these different diseases, like the main ones like cancer and heart disease, and there's so many inflammatory things now, autoimmune diseases. I believe that they're all connected to like a dysregulated nervous system, really. So yeah, and yeah, I just think that the cold, basically for me, it brings you, when you're in the cold water, it's a bit like adapting to stress, but not in a traumatic way. It's like in a way where you have the control because you're putting yourself into that situation. So for the mind, it's very good. But then obviously also it's doing all these positive effects for every cell in the body. So it is deeply healing in that sense. And then you get, even now, if I just take like a cold shower in the morning for like 2 minutes, I can feel like a surge of positive hormones. But it's not like when you take a drug or have a drink, it doesn't go, it's not that. It's just like a kind of subtle surge, but then it fades so slowly. It's just, yeah, it's just a beautiful feeling. It's just helped me so much. And I didn't even learn about that until 5 years into my healing journey, really. But yeah, the cold water is very useful for me.
That's amazing. And I know that there's people out there, probably including myself, that would seem a little fearful of an ice bath or even to go to the sea when it's that cold. But you got your mom into the ocean and she was a little nervous at first. Is that
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I remember she said to me, she's been going like, well, maybe it's only a year now, actually. Yeah, because she went in all winter, but yeah, she was like, I'm never swimming in the North Sea ever. And it has, I suppose, because I live beside the coast, so many people, for me, I feel like a lot of people are into the cold water now, but I suppose it's probably because I have it more accessible. But maybe it's not the same all over the world. Maybe it's not the same where you are. Yeah, my mum said to me, "You'll never catch me getting in the North Sea," and it's just like one of those things that until you actually, and I wouldn't say like do it once, you've got to build up to it slowly. So you want to have at least 30 seconds of like immersion up to here to get the benefit, but really I'll try to go to build up to 2 minutes. But you can do that really slowly just by having like 15-second cold showers, start it with have warm towels if it's winter where you are, and you'd honestly be so surprised at how quickly you can actually build up. Or if you have any cold water, like natural cold water near you, or you want to do an ice bath, then yeah, just build up to like, I'd recommend building up to a 2-minute cold shower if possible. And then you just breathe deeply when you get in the ice bath. And I suppose it's just one of those things you just have to like stay present, breathe. And the more you relax into it as well, the more that you like trust. Because for me, the cold's like, I think Wim Hof said that as well. It's like a teacher. It's like, it's merciless, but it also reveals to you where you're hiding, kind of where you're resisting. Yeah, where you're resisting. So yeah, you just have to surrender to the cold. But I don't recommend doing it for like 2 minutes, 3 minutes. I can go in the North Sea slightly longer than that, but I wouldn't do it for less than three, but for above 3 or 4 minutes during the winter time, because when you go beyond that, you can start to damage the cells in the body. It's a bit like training the body physical fitness. You just want to take it a little bit at a time, and it just, yeah. And in terms of time as well, especially if you're just going to do cold showers in the morning, which is still very beneficial, it doesn't actually take any extra time in your routine. If anything, it gives me like a little boost in the morning, which is better than caffeine because it's like a natural one. You're healing the nervous system whilst giving yourself an energy boost, and it's not even taking up any extra time in your day.
Yeah.
So
it's
just brilliant.
And have you seen a lot of transformation within your program of those that are currently on the course that you're providing?
Yeah, so I've done like workshops with people
Yes.
having the ice baths actually. And yeah, like people, it's just amazing how they can know to use the tools, and then they'll basically implement them into their life, and it's really transformative. Yeah.
And are your workshops all in person, or do you also do remote online work as well for people?
I haven't done any remotely yet.
Okay.
But yeah, I think I will. Well, originally it was because I was doing the ice baths. I suppose I could get people to their own ice baths. But But yeah, I think I will do more remote stuff in the future.
Yeah, that would be amazing. They even have those inflatable tubs that people can purchase. You know, they're just kind of small and they can make little
Yeah,
exercises.
yeah, they're more accessible. Or even just, I've done an ice bath in my actual bath, so
That works too.
which
Nice.
also works. Yeah,
Sometimes I guess nowadays a lot of people, I mean, some people don't have a tub. So if they needed
yeah,
to take an ice bath and they didn't have that, they could just get a little tiny inflatable or, you know,
yeah. They're not so expensive. Yeah,
that's true. Well, there's
yeah,
other.
and I do think the ice bath is better for yeah, like the immersion. I would say like if you can do that, like maybe once a week or once a fortnight, then you're going to really feel benefits from it. And I didn't even mention that, like the immunity, the effects on the immunity also. Because I don't think I told you this, but I I was going in like I think I went in 100 times over the winter, and I didn't get ill once. I didn't even have like a cold or runny nose once in 5 months of the winter. And then I didn't go in, so I had a break like from it was like the 1st of April. From then on, I didn't go in. And then after 3 weeks of not doing any cold water therapy, I got ill. So that just shows you how much of a positive effect it also has on the immune system.
Wow.
So
Wow.
yeah, it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, that is fascinating. And especially for you, you used to be a pharmacist, so you have experience and knowledge behind you know, how toxic prescriptions can be and then how organic and natural these other modalities are for people. And I think that's amazing that you made that switch and you're now assisting others with that. And so
Thank you.
is there anything else about your book that you would like to share?
Um, Not that I can think of. No.
And then what about
Oh yeah, but it should be out in October. It's going to the editor soon. So yeah.
okay, and what is the title of your book?
Um, it kind of just has a working title at the minute.
Working title. Okay,
I think
okay.
I called it From Suffering to Love, or that, yeah, like maybe the same as my program, coaching program, Freedom to Love. Yeah.
Sure. Definitely. We'll have to share
To be convinced.
in your website. What's on your website where people can I guess what is that website and what is on there that where people can find you and look for?
So it's mindmattermagic.net. Yeah, and it just basically has the details of my coaching program, and you can book a free discovery call from the website as well if you want to see if I could help you in any way.
And then you're also offering a free 7-day freedom course. Is that right?
Self-love, 7-day self-love challenge. Yeah, I've just created that. Yeah. So
Wow.
yeah, that goes through like the 7 chakras, and it's just little things that you can do and tips to get you into a more empowered position and, well, just to improve your self-love. It's really all the things that I did when I first started, when I had the PTSD, when I first started my healing journey, that got me into a better place that I then could go deeper. But yeah, it's yeah, I think it's really good.
And
And
and,
it's free.
and each day you go through the chakras. Is that right?
Yeah, so it's like 7 days you receive an email each day, one's about each chakra, and then like explaining kind of a bit about how it works with each chakra, and then one tool or practice, which is short practices, just to help shift things in connection with that chakra. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, and it also helps bring awareness to those feelings as well. And so I think that's an amazing practice that you're offering. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Is there anything else in the future that you have coming up? Any workshops you have organized or scheduled yet?
Not for the summer, not so. Oh yeah, I do. Sorry. So actually, I've been having some work done on my house, and in November, I've got like a retreat planned, but I'm still working on bringing that together. Yeah, and eventually I'll probably do a group program to make the one-to-one program more accessible once we've got everything more fully set up and integrated. But yeah, in November I'm going to be having a retreat probably because it's a really good location where I'm living to the cold water and like there's lots of nice nature around, and then I have some space in my actual house for people to stay, and then maybe some people can stay outside of my house. Yeah, so haven't exactly planned that completely now, but it's in the pipeline for November.
Right, definitely. And I'm sure there'll be more workshops for the years to come too as well. And
Yeah, definitely.
and anybody can find that information on your website too, is that right?
Yeah, or on my Instagram is where I put most of my things, and definitely on my website I'll put it if I do a workshop too. Yeah, on my
Okay.
Instagram.
And what is the name of your Instagram for people to find you?
It's mind_matter_magic.
Okay, yeah, and I'll definitely share that within the description along with your website as well, so people can find you.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Well, is there anything else that you can share for anybody that is looking to improve their own self-love and self-awareness and freedom, to live their life? And what other comments or suggestions do you have for anybody today?
Well, just know that you deserve it, first of all. And then secondly, like absolutely trust yourself and messed up or how confused you are about the way that people have treated you, that this is a cycle. The life is a cycle of evolution, and the past means nothing about what you are able to create in your present and future. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And it was very lovely speaking with you today, and I'm sure we'll speak again another time in the future. So
And you too, Mandy.
yes, thank you. And I will get all your information shared. And for anyone listening today, I really appreciate you listening. And please follow Lauren. She's amazing, and she's got amazing gifts and abilities and services for anyone looking to improve themselves. So thank you for listening to Quantum Healing today, and we'll have a great day.